Play ball, Las Vegas. This is Covering the Bases with the A's. Sponsored by Big Bully Turf.
It is time to talk some A's baseball. Welcome inside another edition of Covering the Bases with the A's. I'm Kevin Bollinger. Here's the batting order for today's show. Shea Langeliers shining bright in Philadelphia for the All-Star Game. And so did some of the young A's within the organization. How the top green and gold prospects fared at the MLB Futures Game. Plus, Mariah Janos will introduce the 2026 Athletics draft class, headlined by a stud outfielder out of Georgia Tech. And later, a look at how the A's are adjusting to the ABS challenge system. But we need to begin in the city of brotherly love, where A's catcher Shea Langeliers and the Toronto pitcher Dylan Cease were the stars of the show to begin the 2026 MLB All-Star Game.
Let's go back to that.
There you go. Finished him off. Back-to-back sliders to get Schwarber right there.
Let's go fastball down and away.
Good start, Dylan.
Let's go slider.
Hey, how about a 3-strikeout first inning, Dylan Cease? Dylan, Shea, we appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Interesting insight for baseball fans. Langeliers and Cease mic'd up in the first inning and teaming up to get 3 strikeouts through the top of the National League order, sitting down stars Kyle Schwarber, Juan Soto, and C.J. Abrams. And it only got better for Shea Langeliers at the plate. He batted in the 3-hole in his first ever All-Star game, drawing a walk off Phillies star pitcher Christopher Sanchez in the first inning, and would come all the way around to score as part of a 3-run first inning for the AL. Then leading off the third, Langeliers would get things started with a line drive single to center field. Here is the final line for Shea, 1 for 1 with a hit, a base on balls, and a run scored before being replaced by Tigers catcher Dylan Dingler in the bottom of the 4th. Not bad for your first ever All-Star game and first All-Star game start. Now, Shea wasn't the only athletic selected to represent the green and gold in Philly. Nick Kurtz was named to the American League as the starting first baseman after Vladimir Guerrero Jr. opted out. But Kurtz was forced to sit out of the Midsummer Classic in his hometown with a thumb injury. A tough break for the Big Amish, who gets his nickname from his hometown of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philly. While he couldn't participate, he still did make the trip home, and he got to take in all of the All-Star festivities, from the AL team picture to the home run derby, as well as the red carpet. And he got to do it with his teammate Shea Langeliers. Ahead of the All-Star game, they got a message from another former All-Star from the green and gold.
What's up, Shea, Nick? Just want to say congrats on the All-Star game. Super proud of you guys. You guys had a great first half. Go out there, kill it, and we're happy to watch you represent the organization.
So ahead of the home run derby and All-Star game, baseball's top prospects took center stage in the Futures Game, and that included the 2 top players from the A's farm system, pitcher Jamie Arnold and Leo DeVries, the infielder. Acquired from the Padres last season for Mason Miller, Leo DeVries is the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, and he showed out among the other top prospects in the game. He batted for the leadoff spot for the American League, recording a single and a run scored in 2 at-bats. The 19-year-old is playing well right now at Double-A Midland, and you can expect to see him with the green and gold very soon. Jamie Arnold also performing well. He entered the game and shut down the National League Futures in his 1-inning pitch, giving up just 1 walk, but no hits, no runs scored, and a strikeout. The A's first-round pick out of Florida State, the 25th ranked prospect in all of baseball. The 22-year-old is also at Double-A Midland with DeVries, hoping that he can get to the bigs, potentially along a similar timeline as his teammate DeVries. Now to the injury report, and just as it appeared the A's were starting to get healthy, the bad news started piling up again. As we told you earlier, Kurtz is currently out and on the 10-day injured list with what's being called a right thumb capsule strain. The earliest Kurtz could be activated is July 21st. Now that comes on the heels of Zach Geloff making another trip to the IL from a right knee laceration that he suffered in Detroit while sliding into a wall in foul territory making a catch. Before the injury, Geloff had been hot at the plate, and his versatility of being able to play multiple positions, both in the infield and outfield, will certainly be missed. The hope is that both will be back sometime in the next road trip. The injuries to what is, when healthy, a star-studded lineup, part of what has been a tough stretch of games for the A's. Since those 2 series that they played here in Las Vegas, the A's are 6-19, currently on a season-worst 9-game losing streak, falling from 36-36 to 41-55. Here's a look at the AL West standings as of the All-Star break. Some ground to make up for the A's as they're now 8 games in back of first place Texas, but they're just 6.5 games out of the wild card spot of the American League. A's manager Mark Kotsay spoke about the rough patch and the role the injuries have played ahead of the All-Star break.
It's been tough in all facets, really. To lose a middle of the order bat in Rooker for the rest of the season, to now have Kurtz out, who is a big part of the offense and a big leader. And both these guys, Kurtz and Rooker, how I feel about Kurtz. I talked about him when he first got here as an alpha, a guy in that locker room that holds people accountable. Rooker's presence is the same. If I had to put a captain out there, it would be Rook, and you fill the void really of not having him here, not having him in the lineup. But we'll get through this. I think the break couldn't come at a better time. I think the break's great. That will clear our minds, come back, and start over. We'd like to be closer in the division than we are. But we haven't killed ourselves through this, but we've definitely made it more challenging for sure.
Now the losses piling up along with the struggles of the A's pitching staff led to the team firing pitching coach Scott Emerson at the start of the All-Star break. Emerson had been with the organization since 2003, and he was the big league pitching coach since 2017. He couldn't really escape the trouble, though, with both the starters and the bullpen. The A's have the worst ERA in the American League and the second worst in the big leagues, with the numbers significantly bad at home in that small ballpark where the ball just flies. Bullpen coach Dan Hubbs going to be taking over on an interim basis for the rest of the season. While the pitching staff has had its ups and downs, rookie starter Gage Jump has been a bright spot since he was called up in May, and he had yet another strong performance Saturday in Chicago. Jump had struggled in his last 2 starts ahead of the first half call-up, and then he got that start in Chicago, and he responded nicely, quieting the White Sox hitters through just over 5 innings, allowing just 1 run on 5 hits and striking out 7 batters. It comes as another chapter in what has been an encouraging start to Jump's major league career, lowering his ERA to 3.51 on the season. Unfortunately for Jump, the A's bats could not get it going in Chicago, and he would take the loss to the White Sox despite the great effort. Here he was after the game.
A lot of positives, I think. Especially the last couple have been so good, so happy with it, yeah. Today it's the same, go dominate. It sucks I couldn't finish, but, stepping in the right direction.
His start today was excellent. We've seen a few of these starts from Gage. Again, this is his first year of going out and pitching here in the big leagues, and I thought today was an example of, obviously making some corrections, some adjustments, going out and attacking the zone, and I thought the best at bat that he had today in terms of getting a guy out was the Greichik at bat with Murakami on deck and a runner in scoring position, 2 outs in the 5th. He executed every pitch he needed to in every spot, which shows a lot of growth. That's a big at bat, and for him to get through that one, I thought it was great.
The All-Star break, a chance for the A's to reset after a tough end of the first half. They kick off the second half Friday in Sacramento against the Nationals. We'll have more on that series a little later in the show. On deck, we take a look at the newest members of the A's organization and some stars of the future, who the Athletics took in the draft and what they bring to the table.
And hey, before we get to break, let's get some trivia going. It was on this day in 1941 that Joe DiMaggio's legendary 56-game hitting streak came to an end. I wonder, though, since then, what's the longest hitting streak by an A's player? Well, it was 25 games, but who did it? Was it Rickey Henderson, Jason Giambi, Coco Crisp, or current Athletic Zach Geloff? I'll tell you after the break.
Play ball, Las Vegas. This is Covering the Bases with the A's. Sponsored by Big Bully Turf.
We are back with an answer to the question, which A's player has the longest hitting streak of the last 100 years? Zach Geloff came real close this year. In fact, one game shy of Jason Giambi's 25. The Giambino did that back in 1997 as a left fielder, actually, since Mark McGwire was still at first for the A's. In his first full 6 seasons with the A's, Giambi had over 150 hits every year, and by the way, had a batting average of .311, averaged 30 homers and 108 RBI. We're going to cover more of Giambi's awesome stats he put up with the A's in a future Green and Gold throwback episode. But for now, let's get to Mariah.
The Athletics continue to build toward the future, and this year's MLB draft may have added another wave of impact talent to an already promising farm system. With the 8th overall pick, the A's landed Georgia Tech outfielder Drew Burress, one of the premier power bats in the entire draft. Burress combines plus power with a polished approach at the plate, giving the A's yet another potential middle-of-the-order bat to pair with their young core. They then turned their attention to pitching, starting with USC left-hander Mason Edwards in the 2nd round. Edwards led the nation in strikeouts during his college career, paired with elite command with a fastball that reaches the mid-90s, and A's scouting director Eric Kubota even compared elements of his game to former Cy Young winner Barry Zito. The A's kept stockpiling arms with their next 2 picks. First, Arkansas right-hander Gabe Gackle, who features an electric fastball that has drawn comparisons to Spencer Strider and has the stuff to develop into a frontline starter. Then came NC State righty Jacob Duden, a first-round caliber talent who slipped after undergoing Tommy John surgery. The A's are betting on his big fastball and wipeout slider paying off once he returns to the mound in 2027. From there, the A's continue to add depth across the system. UCLA infielder Roman Martin headlined day 2, followed by power-hitting Miami catcher Alex Sosa, Wake Forest outfielder Javar Williams, UC Santa Barbara righty Nathan Aceves, and high-upside high school lefty Jake Escalante. A college-heavy draft class that included 21 total selections, with 11 of them coming on the mound. Now, the Athletics' ability to draft may be one of the biggest strengths of the organization, with top selections flying through the system in recent years. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly the 2026 class gets adjusted and climbs the ranks.
Straight ahead, we have an inside look at the ABS Challenge system being used in the big leagues and what the A's players say is the key to making it all work for them.
Hey, let's get another trivia question in. A few minutes ago, we had one that was based on a Yankees streak from the 1940s that ended on this date. It's pretty specific, so let's do it again. On this day in 1947, the Yankees won their 19th game in a row, and that was the American League record until which Athletics team broke it? Was it 1990, 2000, 2002, or 2006? I got the answer after the break.
Play ball, Las Vegas. This is Covering the Bases with the A's. Sponsored by Big Bully Turf.
We are back, and I got an answer to this trivia question. Which of these A's teams, all of which made the playoffs, by the way, set the American League record with 20 consecutive wins? Well, if you watched the movie Moneyball, you might know it was 2002. That was an awesome team. They had the best record in baseball, 103 wins. And they had the MVP and Cy Young Award winner. They couldn't finish the deal in the playoffs, but of course, thanks to that iconic Moneyball movie, they will forever be remembered as the team that won a ton of games with a tiny payroll. Last week on Green and Gold Countdown, we covered a couple of star pitchers for the A's, and I've got 2 more for you this week. This time, a righty and a lefty.
A pitcher's job is to keep runs off the board, and in an era that saw more home runs than any other, Athletics ace Tim Hudson was as good as anyone in keeping the ball in the yard. The man who anchored the great Moneyball rotations of the early 2000s was just a ground ball machine. In his first 6 years with the A's, only one starter allowed fewer home runs per 9 innings than he did across the entire majors. Hudson's 8 complete game shutouts were also second in that stretch of time, and most of all, he was a winner. Hudson is also second in Athletics franchise history in win percentage. Next, we have Vida Blue, who burst onto the scene at just 21 years old in 1971 with one of the best years a young pitcher has ever had. Vida went 24-8 that year with an AL-leading 182 ERA along with 301 strikeouts. Only 15 pitchers in the modern era have struck out more in one season. He also had 8 shutouts that year, which has been bested only 6 times since. Blue won the Cy Young and MVP awards that year, and although he never quite reached those highs again, he put together a great career with 6 All-Star nods in total and still ranking in the top 10 among starters in A's franchise history for wins, strikeouts, shutouts, and ERA.
And next week on Green and Gold Throwback, we're going to talk about a couple of MVP power hitters, both of whom now call Las Vegas home.
Strike challenges have become an important part of the game. We talked with the A's about the new system and the art of when to challenge and when not to challenge.
Just missed the spot. 1-1. Springs is going to be charged to challenge.
Challenging the ball call.
There's a new wrinkle at the major league level this season. The ABS, or Automated Ball Strike Challenge System, was deployed after years of testing and tweaking in the minor leagues. Here's how it works. Each team begins the game with 2 challenges, and a pitcher, catcher, or batter has roughly 2 seconds to tap their head to initiate a challenge. There's a 12-camera system in every major league park that creates the strike zone, 17 inches wide, with the height being determined for each individual batter based on player measurements taken during spring training. The success rate of the challenges is just above 50% across baseball. The A's have an above-average success rate, and they say that there is a strategy in the system of when to challenge.
There's going to be those pitches that clip the zone in like the first or second inning where it's like you may not get the call, but is it really worth a challenge there? If it's the one that's less than 0.1 off and you get it wrong, you lose a challenge for that. So it's just, it's hit and miss. Kind of goes back to just understanding when to use it.
Catchers have the highest success rate, and usually pitchers stay away from challenging, trusting their catchers, even though pitchers sometimes give that glaring look if they wanted a challenge.
I think he probably thinks I look at him a lot, yeah. But I'm normally wrong, so I just let him do it. He's been really good at it this year, so yeah, I think everything's a strike. But he fools me, he catches it so well.
With teams only getting 2 to begin with, it comes down to time and place.
I think with the first one you can be a little bit more aggressive, not like reckless, but you can be a little bit more aggressive because obviously you get it right, you get to keep it. But I feel like you always want to have at least one in your back pocket for a leverage situation later in the game. Honestly, even a leverage situation, say it could happen like the 4th, 5th inning, bases loaded, 2 outs, there's a borderline pitch call you want to have on your back pocket there.
The younger players are more experienced in the system. Independent leagues started using a form of this starting in 2019, and there were minor leagues using them in 2021. Colby Thomas has played under the ABS system in Las Vegas for a while and says that it's made him a better hitter because he's become more knowledgeable about the strike zone.
Going up, having it through the minor leagues was nice because like I get up here and I know the zone, like, you know, I know where it's reading it from, like I've seen it. Like the hardest part is knowing the up and down, the top and the bottom. That's the hardest part, but the in and out, that's true. I mean, you look at it, if it crossed the plate, it's a strike. If you look at it and it did not cross the plate, it's a ball.
But even if Thomas is pretty sure an umpire may have missed one, it doesn't mean that he's always going to challenge.
I don't like to challenge unless I'm like positive. You know, even if, like, let's say like a 3-1 count or a 2-0 count or like a 3-0 count, like I am not going to challenge probably unless I'm like 150%, like 100% sure. You know, like a flip count, you know, maybe like an 0-1 count or a 1-1 count or something along those lines, maybe a little less, but nothing. I don't like to challenge early in the game, especially like if there's nobody on and there's 2 outs. Even if I'm pretty sure, like, you know, there's no need for a challenge there.
This is a system that will continue to evolve, but it appears that it's here to stay. On deck, a preview of the A's first series after the All-Star break, while the Washington Nationals are going to be a tough out over the weekend.
Play ball, Las Vegas. This is Covering the Bases with the A's. Sponsored by Big Bully Turf.
This is a great day for Las Vegas.
Las Vegas has proven itself to be a great sports town and a great host to professional franchises.
It's an epic moment for our 124-year-old franchise. 2028, we have opening day out here on the Las Vegas Strip. 3, 2, 1.
A's fans get priority access to purchase season tickets in Las Vegas for just $19.01. Now, current A's season ticket members, Aviators season ticket holders, as well as Clark County residents who secure their spot on the priority access list will receive purchase priority ahead of the general fan. For more information, visit athletics.com/Vegas. It's time for the unofficial start of the second half of the season, and the A's kick things off with a 3-game home series with the Washington Nationals in West Sacramento. Friday night, things get going with a 6:40 first pitch. Saturday begins at 7:05, and then Sunday at 1:05 with a matinee to wrap the series up. The Nationals, 4 games out of the wild card in the National League, and they've been one of the best road teams in baseball this year with a 28-18 record away from D.C. James Wood is the now and the future for the Nationals. The young outfielder leads the team in almost every offensive category, and he's also played in every single game this season. But C.J. Abrams also right there as a defensive cornerstone at shortstop, who's putting together a big offensive year as well with 20 home runs and 67 RBI. Lefty Foster Griffin has been the star of the pitching staff, a 10-2 record with a 2.77 ERA. The A's desperately need to win a series, especially at home, to get the second half started strong. That's all we got for you this week. We'll see you next time.